and live your life today. It doesn't matter what they say.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Red Lotus Life. I'm here with my lovely co-creator, Sara Elizabeth Hoffman. And together we come to here and we share our experiences and the tools that we use to create a life we love after abuse. Everything that we do here in this space is to 100% support survivors of abuse of all kinds, domestic violence, domestic abuse, all kinds, human trafficking, all the things. And we really just do this to speak from our hearts because we have been in your place. We are survivors. We are also advocates. We are also spiral practitioners who have a wealth of knowledge and tools that we've accumulated over all these years that has put us in a place where we never thought we'd be in a million years of living this life that we love. Today we are going to be talking about the Remember Who You Are retreat. We're going to be talking about why it's so important for us to do this retreat and to share on an even deeper level with everyone the type of work that we do. So I specialize in domestic violence and working with survivors of domestic violence, abuse, and trafficking. I was somebody that had zero clue. I was in an abusive relationship, let alone an extremely violent one, an extreme case of one, because I personally did not identify with any of the advertisements of abuse. So whenever you see, I've completely forgotten their name right now, but it's basically the ad council for the domestic abuse campaign. And you see the billboards and you see the ads in the magazines and things like that. I did not identify with any of that. And so for me, I didn't realize. I just had zero clue. I was always a confident person. I always had high self-esteem. To be honest with you, I thought that what was happening in my relationship was normal. I knew it wasn't healthy, but I thought it was normal. And it was just kind of what happens after you've been together with someone for so long. So when I personally discovered the spiral, and Sara and I have been sisters for so long, we know our pre-spiraled self, we know our post-spiral selves. And prior to knowing this modality and emotional clearing, I had zero, I had all the tools, but they were all like surface level. I guess that's basically what I'm trying to say. They were surface level. I had already started going down the route, the healing journey and all of that. But when I discovered emotional clearing specifically, that's when my life changed. That's when I don't even recognize the person that I am today. So whenever I heard spiral and I heard I had actually gone through spiral, that's a whole different thing. And we aren't even going to talk about that much today. But when I went through the spiral, I knew I had to become a practitioner because it just catapulted me into a completely different life. I 100% transformed my life. I have more authentic relationships. I have a self-love within me that I've never felt before. I didn't even have a reference point before that. And I just can't say enough about it. So whenever I heard that there was going to be a spiral practitioner training, right after I did spiral, I was like, actually, it was before I did spiral. I signed up before I even did spiral. I forgot about that. I knew that I just had to become a practitioner, but it wasn't necessarily to be able to work with people. For me, it was all about, I knew I had to teach this work. And that's kind of where I'd love to have a discussion with you, Sara, about this retreat, because the essence of this retreat is going to be us literally teaching this work, teaching emotional clearing, the tool, and how to use it on a deeper level. So it's for beginners, it's also for advanced.
Yeah, so everything about the essence of this retreat is literally the work that I definitely came here to do as well. When I first became a spiral practitioner, I too knew that actually when I first heard the words the spiral, I knew it was for me. Like automatically I knew it was for me. Went through the spiral myself, then became a spiral practitioner, and like Lori, I was on the Spiral the World train. Like these are tools unlike anything that you can find anywhere else, or at least from my perspective and from my personal experience. And I've worked with so many more or so many other different types of modalities, which are all amazing. But these tools specifically are different. They work on a level that you can't even really comprehend until you experience it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have been so life-changing for me. I went from being a person who really didn't have an identity outside of myself. I felt like I was confident. I felt like I had boundaries. But what I really quickly found out is that I really did not have really healthy boundaries. And, as Lori was sharing, being survivors ourselves, and for me growing up in domestic abuse situations and abusive environments, I thought it was normal. I didn't know that there was anything different. And so once I started to do the work and working with these tools of the spiral modality, then every single thing started to shift for me. And I started to be able to become the observer. And ultimately, what it has really done is help to bring myself back into integrity with my true essence, with my divine self. And it's been quite a process, and it's been a really beautiful process. And I've also been so blessed to be able to witness Lori during her journey as well.
I know we've been like in this together.
Yeah.
From the very beginning. It's been fascinating. It's been truly fascinating to just witness like your transformation as well, and where we have ended up together has been.
Yeah, I wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't be sitting here
either. I wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't be an advocate in the way that I am. I wouldn't be transparent. I wouldn't be this authentic. I wouldn't be, I don't, it's crazy to me how, and this is what we're talking about with this work. So every single day, like literally every single day, we receive messages in our inboxes. I personally have several calls a day and several conversations with people all over the world who have experienced abuse of some kind. And it's overwhelming. Like that's actually why we started to shift into, oh my gosh, we need to actually teach this work and shift into alignment and integrity of why we actually became practitioners in the first place. Because the world is in such a crazy place right now. Abuse it's just grown on astronomical levels since the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And it is quite overwhelming. It's too overwhelming to actually work one-on-one with each individual person and to be able to have the impact that we want to have. So like for me personally, I feel like every single person in the entire world should know this tool and should know emotional clearing, because it does work just like this. You neutralize your emotions immediately so that you can now respond from a neutralized state, not an emotionally charged state. And so when I say this, I'm saying like, I feel like children should know this, and it's super easy for children as well. They can clear themselves, and they're actually very receptive to it. It's us adults that get the resistance or whatever. But for me, if people knew how to be emotionally clear themselves, they will be able to respond to the situations that they're in on a completely different level. It's hard. It's hard to hear all that. I mean, I love it. I enjoy it. I enjoy keep all the messages coming, but it is hard to, like, I only have so much space I can only take on so many one-on-one clients. And so I want to be able to teach this in a totally different way, because a lot of the things that I hear in the messages can easily be transmuted and changed and shifted and pivoted in a way, like just like that. Like, you can do it yourself. You don't need somebody else. You can do it yourself. There's an example. So of course, this is also if you're in the relationship and emotional clearing. Yes, you can absolutely be able to do this. But there's something that's really been on my heart lately, and I think it's because the holidays are coming up, and it's not enough to actually leave the relationship. As a parent, we still have to co-parent with with the other parent. We still have to share holidays, all those things. And then even also after, even when children are adults and all of that, it's the children. I guess that's what I'm trying to get to. It's our kids who continue to also have this relationship, right? And so that's actually what I've been getting a lot of messages about and having a lot of conversations about, is people saying, gosh, we've been divorced for 10 years, or I left that relationship a long time ago, but now my son is 13 years old and he doesn't necessarily want to go, and this and that, because of what he experiences while he's there. And this goes for men and women. I mean, every single person every gender experiences this. So the parent is actually saying, how do I help my child? Like, that's really what's happening. How do I help my child while they are going for holiday things? And I keep saying, oh my gosh, teach them emotional clearing. Teach them emotional clearing, because they're going to be able to neutralize that emotional state, and they'll be able to respond, and that the trauma and the traumatic imprints don't necessarily take hold whenever. I don't know. Am I speaking out of, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, because I feel like I'm going down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but that's been like the most messages I've been receiving lately.
Yeah, this is a really, really important topic, actually. And I think that number one, it's really important to know that once you learn the tools of self-clearing yourself and you're able to share that with your child, there is a place where they're actually able to, they're shifting their emotional state really, really quickly. And they're also able to start to begin, because we're creating new neural pathways, right? So they're going to start to not be responding from their typical conditioned responses, what they've already learned from the family environment and conditioning from all the places, society. And they're going to be able to actually respond to the other parent in a different way. And I think that that's really, really important. The other thing that I find to be really, really helpful is that when the parents themselves have these tools, they're able to respond to the other parent, with much more self-awareness, with much more emotional intelligence, the children as well. If you're doing that inner work, it's so, so important, because that's going to transfer to your children, and your children are going to grow up with emotional intelligence that they wouldn't maybe necessarily have had, and that's so important in those types of environments.
Yeah, you just nailed it too, because that's another thing, right? It's twofold. It's layers. There's always layers to all of this. And so that's the other thing with the parents, is they're saying, well, I feel like I'm getting manipulated. I'm getting coerced into things. There's things in the custody arrangements and agreements that are now, the lines are getting blurry, and they're saying, how do I respond? How do I react? This is, and again, it's that emotional clearing. If you are able to clear yourself and do your self-clearing, now you're able to respond in a totally different way. You're able to see clearly. You're able to respond clearly. You're able to communicate directly. That's another thing, direct communication versus violent communication. So just exactly what you're saying. It's that self-awareness that now you can actually respond completely different, which changes the whole direction of conversations, honestly.
Yeah. And it also brings awareness to self, because a lot of times there are, I can't tell you countless times actually, where some of that behavior might be triggered from your own conditioning. And I know that sometimes we don't want to hear that, but so many times it's our own conditioning combined with that of the other that really creates this chaos. And when we're able to neutralize that, and we're able to come back to center, come back to the heart, come from a place of love, and be able to see sort of below the surface of what the other person is coping with, you know, it may feel really aggressive, and it may not feel good, right? But we're able to come back to the heart, and we can respond differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just changes it changes everything. For anyone who hasn't listened to the series that we've been doing with Ennis Barger, he actually talks about this quite a bit. And it's really nice to kind of hear the other side. And it always comes back to what you said about the conditioning. I mean, one of the biggest things that I get all the time from my side of the family is that I have to stand up for things. I have to do this, and I have to do that. And honestly, there's a lot of times when, no, I don't. And things actually work out because there is empathy and sympathy for the other person who's involved. So it's just been fascinating to me, because I remember these times. I mean, I still go through these times, even though my children are adults. I still go through these times, and I just do a quick clearing, like self-clearing. And then now I'm able to come from a place of love, just what you said, as I'm talking to them about the different places they're going for the holidays and things like that. But
can I share something here to add to what you were saying? Sorry.
Yeah.
It also provides different perspectives, because when you're able to slow down and take the time to do the self-clearing, you're able to find that emotion and then clear it. You've slowed down now. You've been able to find that trigger point, and now you have a different perspective, and you know, it just opens up so many possibilities as far as how to move going forward.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing that we hear over and over again from people that we've taught, is that it just opens up so much. And I think that's why it's so advanced and so powerful in this way, because whenever you get out of your own way and you get that emotional block out of the way, now you're able to just come from a totally different place. Like you're in this sovereign place now, this neutralized place. And now you have choices.
Right.
Where before you may have felt as if you didn't.
Yeah. And I find for myself that I've always said that I have the patience of Job. So that was always just sort of innate for me. But I find that I have even more patience. And sometimes when you're able to take a step back and be patient and allow things to arise rather than, you know, sort of go at it in an aggressive way, things tend to work themselves out, and self-clearing can really help with that process as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think another reason why this is so alive for me right now is because we're in the process of fundraising for the Giving Tree. And so with the Giving Tree, what we do is we work with the local sheriff's office, and we work with the victims advocate and just help families who have recently fled from domestic violence. So it's been interesting, because I feel like domestic violence and abuse also, that's another thing that people don't talk about, is that escalates during the holidays.
Yeah.
And the holidays are, we're conditioned to think that, oh, it's so nice and everyone's happy and this is what's going on. But that's not actually what I'm seeing right now. I don't know. Are you seeing something different, or are you seeing the tumultuous times, I guess?
Well, yeah, there are tumultuous times, and I think a lot of that is being felt just from the collective, generally speaking. Not to mention the fact that it's a known fact that the holidays are a time where domestic violence and abuse is heightened, it's rampant, and I think just generally speaking, with the energy that we feel, the pressure that we feel from society, and with the wars, and like we're all feeling that pressure. And so it does tend to escalate these types of situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's another thing. I do often wonder if I had found this tool earlier, I often wonder where I would be now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I also feel as if maybe because it does ripple out into our household, right, and
Mm-hmm.
into our families, because it is ancestral and generational. But I'm really excited to bring people together at the retreat at Namaste in Zion National Park,
Yes.
because it has this way of, like, you just feel held. And I'm excited to really just deep dive and teach people this emotional clearing tool. So that's why I say, even if you're a beginner, perfect. If you are advanced, perfect. You're going to go deeper. If you are already a practitioner of some kind, you're going to actually go deeper into how we use these tools to really, and it's daily, using them daily to really clear the way. I want to say clear the way, like I keep seeing this path opening up, but it's also, like I said, it's this connection to your heart and your soul and your divine self that you've never experienced before. If you're not familiar with this work, you've never, I'm going to say you've never experienced this before. I did not know. I thought I knew what self-love was. I know 100% know what self-love is.
Yeah.
And then when we start to live from a place of self-love, everything changes.
Yeah, everything does change. For me, what that feels like is no longer needing validation outside of myself. It's self-sourced. What that looks like is not allowing others to make decisions for me. That looks like really, really strong boundaries, and also understanding clearly what a boundary actually is. And we speak about that on many of our other episodes as well. But boundaries are there for us. They are not for the other. And that was something that I definitely wasn't taught, and I feel like the majority of us, generally speaking, aren't taught that. We think it's a rule that we're setting for someone else. But I think that what it does is it allows for our boundaries to be so strong that it's actually an energy that precedes us. That energy precedes us. And so, when you have that strong of an energetic boundary, it sets the precedence for how others will respond to you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it goes back to that saying of we treat others, or we teach others how to treat us.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it is like we go back to that constantly on the boundaries are for us. It's not for other people. It's for us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awesome to even have that shift in perspective, because then you're able to create boundaries that you can actually hold to, like they are anchored in, because whenever they're for you versus someone else. And the other part about this is that I've been having a lot of conversations with survivors recently where they literally have no reference point for self-love.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to me because for the first time in their lives, as they continue to do this work, they are beginning to have this reference point. They're starting to go, oh, this is what self-love is. And now whenever they operate from this place, it transfers out totally different. At Namaste, and Namaste is one of my happy places. If anyone knows me, they know that I absolutely love Namaste. It's such a beautiful, beautiful place. And you know, just by the wildlife that lives there, the wildlife feels safe. I always feel like I'm at Snow White's house whenever I go to Namaste, because I can literally, like, there's deer a few feet away from you. I mean, I've held hummingbirds and all kinds of things. But at Namaste, doing this retreat and being immersed in emotional clearing, being able to go out to the Virgin River, to the highest sandstone mountains in the world, to do the integration after the workshop, you're going to leave a different person. You're going to feel empowered because you have tools. That's the one thing. If anyone wants to hear a little bit more, you can go to the website, because we have a couple of people on there who have done some videos, because they say that's the one thing. They actually feel empowered. They feel empowered right then and there. It's not something that they have to wait for a session to go and, a therapy session or, emotional clearing session or whatever it is, whatever you choose, whatever your modality is that you choose for your mental well-being. You don't necessarily have to wait for that, because you have the tools within you right here, right now. You feel empowered to actually I don't want to say take matters into your own hands, but kind of.
Well, something that I was wanting to share goes along with exactly what you're saying. And I was sort of thinking about it in relation to self-love. But what it looks like to me is no longer being energetically available for anything that you're not choosing.
Yeah, you just nailed it. You're no longer energetically available. And that is in every single area of your life.
Mm-hmm.
It goes for finances. It goes for family relationships, intimate relationships, health. I mean, everything, because all of this always does affect every single area of our life. Everything is connected. So whenever you have this tool and you're able to use it immediately, I'm with you, Sarah, until you actually experience it and you're fully immersed in it, you're not going to quite know what we're talking about, but you're going to leave a different person, even in that short amount of time.
Yeah, this is one of those things. It's kind of like I was sharing in the video. It's like when you hear the spiral or you hear us talking about these tools, I think that there will be many of you who are just going to have that intuitive hit, and it's going to be like, okay, this is for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that was me too. I had no idea what the spiral was.
Right, me either. I was just like, I don't know what this is, but I have to have it.
I have to have it. And not only do I have to have it, in fact, it was interesting because I remember that was a prerequisite, is I had to go through the spiral before I could even become a practitioner.
Yeah.
And I went, do I have to? Like, I just know I have to be a practitioner. Of course you have to. But
I remember you. I remember you going through all of that.
Yeah. And I'm like, but do I have to do this? Because I just feel called to do this. I just feel called to be the teacher, to actually be able to share this work. So we really hope that you join us for this. For the holiday season, we're offering immediate access to Say Yes to Soul. Say Yes to 12 months of Say Yes to Soul actually comes with the retreat, because we're both supporters in Wealth Dynamics. And so we want to be able to support you in any way we can. And in Say Yes to Soul, that's actually where we do the work with you as well. So, and that's like a whole nother expansion and a whole nother level. But instead of waiting until after the retreat, we've decided, you know what, let's go ahead and let anyone who says yes to the retreat now, let's just let them in, because so much magic is happening in there.
Yes, I'm so excited about this. It adds so much value.
Anyway,
I've been working with Lori and Sayas to Soul for the past 3 years, and 1000%, the layers just go deeper and deeper every single month. I can't say more about the transformation that I have witnessed, the support in that space. And we just do the work together. We do the work together, and anything that comes up, there's so many synchronicities. It's all energetically so interconnected, and I would not be sitting here without Lori and without that space. I finished my spiral prac training. I went through the spiral, and this is the space that I learned the importance of continuing to do the work and continuing to deepen, because I am a survivor. And so this is why the retreat in Say Yes to Soul is so important to me, because until we have done that deep inner work to really uncover, why we're calling in these types of situations, why we're not responding, but why are we reacting the way that we're reacting, until we can learn to come back to the heart, until our self-awareness is expanded to the point where, we're able to really take accountability no matter what the situation is, because that's really what it ends up looking like. We are able to finally leave the space of victim to survivor and to thriver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just nailed it. And it really is the constant work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't want to say constant, but yeah, constant. It's constant work, but it's not really work. Also, at this point in Say Yes to Soul, we're literally saying yes to our soul. But that's what's been so cool about having it. So in January, it will be 3 years. And I'm pretty sure all the members in there right now have been in there since the very beginning. So every single month we do a clearing session, and then we integrate together each week. And it's in a different area of our life. So we're literally in a different place in 30 days. And when you're talking about going from victim to survivor to thriver, it really is doing this work and continuing to do this work. It's been a huge experiment, and it's been awesome. It's been awesome to just watch that and witness it, because doing all this work throughout the years of continuing to do emotional clearing, and also with self, right? Doing the work I literally do the work in there with everyone else, as you do too. And it's just amazing. It's really hard to put words to it, but it's the synchronicities that happen because it is all connected. And so, yeah, I've been having so many conversations with so many different people about how they are getting involved in their community and how they are using these tools. And it's just been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing. So for anyone who is out there who is really involved in your community in this way, or if you are somebody who has experienced these things and you're really feeling the pull, kind of like what we've said, of it's going to call to you. This work is going to call to you, going to call to your soul. So we just invite you to join us. And also thank you from the bottom of our hearts that you're out there and you're doing the thing. You're doing the thing. You're sharing your gifts with this world. And is there anything else that you wanted to add to this before we start to wrap up?
The only thing I'd like to add is that I'm just so incredibly grateful for for our viewers, for any discussion that you'd like to have. We'd love to hear from you in the comments, and we hope to see you there. We hope to be able to support you, teach you these tools, and to be able to witness you in your transformation.
Oh, that's going to be so good. So good. Yeah, so much gratitude for everyone, as always, for joining us for this podcast. If you like this, please like it. We understand also, I do want to put this out there too. because we understand that a lot of times it's not safe necessarily for you to show engagement, to put comments and like and all of that. So yes, please keep sending the messages into our inbox, email us off of the website, because we do love to hear your stories and we do love to support you in any way that we can. So please like this if you like it. I know you do because you're telling us, but we will, we'll go ahead and continue to create more content like this. If this actually applies to somebody that you know, please share it. That's why we do it. And we do it on this platform so that you can share it with someone else. And then, as always, we try to get on here at least once a week and do a new episode. So subscribe so that you get notifications of the next one. And then, yes, if you're interested in diving deeper, come with us. Come join us at the Remember Who You Are retreat in beautiful Zion, Utah at Namaste. It's amazing. It's beautiful. We're going to be there to support you every step of the way and create this life after abuse, this beautiful life, this magical, beautiful life after abuse that you have the ability to go and create and live. Mm-hmm. Okay, till next time. Bye.
Bye.
And live your life